Hello, everybody. It's Bob Anderson, and today is December 3rd, 2024. It's the Christmas season coming up. See my little babies there, Snoopy and Lucy. This was last year when they were only 4 months old. I'll be doing a new one this year. They're a lot bigger now. Anyways, I haven't done a video in a couple weeks. The week before Thanksgiving, I got really sick, like head cold, and I couldn't even talk. It was like I could talk, but I couldn't talk. And I actually wrote this stuff out that I'm going to go over today. Then, and I attempted to do this video, and it just didn't come out. So anyway, and then of course it was the week of Thanksgiving. I didn't even take any trades, no trades whatsoever the week of Thanksgiving. I just spent it with my family and ate some turkey, a lot of turkey and that kind of stuff, and had a very good holiday. I hope all of you had a very good holiday also. And so now what I want to do is I want to go over something because I have been trading my live account for about a month now, very lightly. When I say very lightly, I mean very lightly. Like I said, last week, the week of Thanksgiving, I never took a trade, not a trade. I did sit in front of my charts on Tuesday. I don't quite remember Monday. I did sit in front of my charts on Tuesday, and I didn't even take a trade. And then I sat in front of my charts on Wednesday, and I think I sat there for maybe 30 minutes and said, the hell with it, shut it down, and left. So no trades at all. This week I did trade a little bit on Monday. I made like $320 on 3 trades. I had 2 winners and a loser, and so I had a win. I actually started off with a win. So I had a win, a loss, and a win. Net 325. Goes back to my it'll go into this stuff, but bigger targets, smaller losses. And then that's why 325, 2 wins and a loss. And then today today, oh my God, I think I took 4 trades or something like that. And all of them went in my favor. And then they came back, knocked me out. I made literally $100 after commissions. I think it was $98. I'm going to show you my later in this video. I'm going to show you my results because I transferred $5,000 of my winnings of my PA money that I got from Apex into Ninja futures accounts, and I started trading like the last week of October or something. And as of today, I have grown that balance to $3,400. Well, $8,400. So $3,400 profit. I've done some deep thinking about it, and there's just some things I want to work on. So I'm going to talk about my progress. So let's talk about my progress in the 2 years that I've had this channel. All right. When I started off, the first thing I was trying to do using Apex as my prop firm is I was trying to be more consistent with my entries and more consistent with my exits, and managing my stops. It was, so step 1, consistent entry exits off good setups. Make sure I was following my rules. Make sure I was paying attention on smooth pullbacks for the 1 minute gold line, that I actually was getting a smooth pullback for a 1 minute gold line. How many times I saw like a fake break on the pullbacks and then see it hit that gold line and then kind of fake up again and then roll over and be like, so happy that I did not take that trade. How many times, and when these things start repeating themselves for me, it just made me more confident. The one thing I can't ever do is I cannot ever replace screen time. Screen time will help build your confidence. To give you an example, on this $3,400 I've made with one contract, in the last 30 days or whatever. I don't even know if it's 30 days of trading, but in the last, say, 3+ weeks of trading, um, I've only had one day that I was in the negative, and I think it was like $115 or something like that. And the market just wasn't cooperating, in my opinion. So I didn't press it to get my 115 bucks back. I just said, forget it, don't worry about it. Now, of those, say, 3 weeks, and it is about 3 weeks now that I think about it, because I had like 3 weeks where I made about $1,000. Um, of those 3 weeks, there was always one day that I made like 500 to $700, and the rest ended up being like 100, 200 if I didn't lose money. Just like today, I made 100. Yesterday, I made 325. So probably sometime going off the way things are going, sometime this week I'll probably hit one decent trade for $500. There were a couple of them today that set up beautifully that I could have made $500 on. But again, I do run a business at the same time I'm trading, so I'm not like focused. You know what I mean? So, but I'm going to show some trades today. Um, and then the main thing when I was doing this entry exit off good setups to pass my evaluations is I had to take a lot of patience, a lot of time, a lot of frustration. And the thing that I like to emphasize, and this is from my experience of doing this from, from the beginning to the end being using your own live account versus using a prop firm. From the beginning to the end, the main thing, and I can't stress this enough because I think people don't do this enough, and that is not overtrade. God dang, do not overtrade. I mean, I cannot stress that enough. So when you see a good setup and you take a good setup and you have a good target, go for that target. Get it done with, get the stress off your table, and move on. I mean, yesterday when I hit that second trade and it made me $325, literally $325 up, and that was after commissions, whatever. I just shut it down. I just shut it down. Went about my day. Could I have sat there and found 10 other trades throughout the rest of the day? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, there was a beautiful overnight open trade. I think it was in the RTY later that day. But, listen, while you're sitting there waiting for that potential future opportunity, I have found that's where I make stupid mistakes and just do wrong trades. So I only have the attention span long enough to get me in and out. I have found that out. I have the attention span to probably invest about an hour of time into this, and then my mind starts wandering and I start making mistakes. So let's go to the next part. Worked well on evals and prop firms. So when I did these things, it worked really well on prop firms and evals because they want you to make a certain amount of money a day. Okay, like when you're in a prop firm, they want you to prove consistency. Well, the consistency rule may be 10 days, 7 days, whatever the heck it is today, because the rules change all the time. But the concept is, they don't. If you need to make $3,000 to get a payout, they don't want you to make $3,000 in a day. They want you to make $3,000, say, in 7 days or in 10 days. Well, 10 days is $300 a day. So you might as well focus and hit those trades that are going to get you that $300 and walk away. So these are positive things that I have kind of gathered from this. I hit a certain dollar amount, I call it a day. Okay. Build confidence in recognizing the best setups and market conditions to control my emotions. What's good control of my emotions? Well, good control of my emotions was to shut off my computer when the day I was down $118 and the market just wasn't cooperating. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving when the market just wasn't doing what I needed to do. The Tuesday before Thanksgiving when the market wasn't doing the things that I wanted to do. If I don't see if I don't see price action again, north and south, north and south, north and south, if I don't see north and south happening enough that I'm confident when I get in here, say on gold, and I can, and there's not enough movement that's been going on for me to get 20 ticks for $200. Let's just say as the minimum I'm looking for. If I don't see that in what's going on to my left, then I'm fooling myself if the moment I get into this trade, that's going to be the moment it happens. Okay? And that comes from controlling your emotions, being patient, and then looking for the best setups. And then from me learning these 4 things right here, I was able to get funded multiple times at Apex. Okay? So that was my trading journey through my prop firms. Now, what's happened since then? What's happened since then is I went live with the same hopes that I could be consistent and I can be profitable. Okay. And the hope to, and then one of the things that I chose to do because I don't have a timeline anymore. Like I don't have to take trades. I don't have to, participate in the market to get a day to count or any of that kind of stuff anymore. I wanted to increase the selectivity that I am in entering the market. Okay. So what did I start doing to increase the selectivity of the market? Well, I started focusing on the 5-minute red line in the overnight open. That's how I increased the selectivity. As I'm sitting here talking to you at 3:58 p.m. on December 23rd, if you looked at your NQ, daily high, rotated back to the 5-minute red line, gone, long, boom, it's out of here. That's the kind of setup I'm talking about. That is exactly the kind of setup I'm talking about. That setup right there is easily, back to the daily high, is easily a $500 setup. That's the kind of stuff I'd be looking for. Okay? So, and the overnight open. So, what do I need to work on from this point forward? Well, 2 things. One is that I started doing this with the hopes of being able to sit in front of a live account and supplement, and make enough money so that I felt like I could supplement my retirement when I'm done building modular homes. So, do I seem to be on that path? Well, I would say so, considering I'm sitting here, late October up to Thanksgiving. So about a month of trading, and I'm up $3,400. I mean, that's pretty good supplement to my retirement. I would think. That puts you, whatever, 34,000 to $40,000 a year. When I haven't even done the last piece here that I want to talk about, that's going to be part of my development. So I think that's pretty good. And I'm only focusing I am focusing for about an hour a day. That's about how much attention span I have. I'm focusing about an hour a day, the days I do trade. And I kind of look at the news to see what hour I'm going to focus. Because if there's news, at 10 o'clock and there's news at 9:45 or whatever like that, then I just kind of wait. I kind of wait till that's over. Then I put my hour in, or whatever. But anyways, what I want to work on next for my trading is exactly what I just talked about. That on this NQ that just happened right here in front of me while I'm sitting here talking to you guys is I want to be able to take setups I got to work on me internally, me mentally internally, because I know if I go from the daily high to the 5 minute red line and we get a pivot at that 5 minute red line, I know that price is going back to the daily high. I know that. It happens over and over and over again. As an example, you 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 can see the bigger targets when you start looking at these things in longer term, especially those 5 minute red lines and those overnight opens. You can see it happened today in the overnight open in the RTY. Let me see if I can find it right here. Yeah, the RTY overnight open, boom, straight down through the daily low. It's right there. Okay, so those are the bigger targets. Those are the bigger targets that I'm talking about. And if I can start getting the patience to take a trade and get the bigger targets, then the profitability of my trading, in my mind, will be bigger than just, say, $3,500 in a month, casually trading as I'm doing. But the casual trading is working. So my goal from this point forward is to try and force myself to make those bigger trades. And the thing about those bigger trades, and I've talked about this before, the thing about those bigger trades is a lot of times on that 5 minute red line, when price crosses back over the 1 minute gold line and sits on top of it, that's the possibility for the second entry when you're using profit. So that trade profit doesn't go from just necessarily from here at the 5 minute red line back to the daily high. It goes from the 5 minute red line and then add on after the crossover, sit on top of the 9 EMA, the 1 minute gold line, and boom. Now instead of being a $500 trade, it's $1,000, $2,000. I mean, and that's by the way, that's exactly what the damn thing did while I was sitting here getting this video started. I mean, it happens every day. So, anyways, let me show you some trades. And this is the progress of my journey so far. Okay. And it's working. I'm kind of excited. I have a subscriber who sent me screenshots of his video of his trades. He trades only the NQ, and he trades 3 accounts. And he showed me, I don't know, it was a couple weeks ago that he sent me his stuff. But I mean, I did the math, and because he hit 4 trades in a row following exactly my rules on the NQ, and he goes for 80 tick targets. So that's 80. 400, that's $1,600 on one account times three is 18, $4,800 in that one day. That's what he made. So he made more money in one day than I made in a month. But I'm fine with that. I'm excited for him, and he's excited. So, anyways, let me show you a couple. Wow, NQ's just going crazy. Let me show you a couple trades. All right. Okay, so first off, I just wanted to show this. This is my little live account right here. It says live, yada, yada, yada. And there's my little value at the end of today. Here's my $98.44. That's what I made. $98.44. Anyways, so 80, basically $8,400. So if I start off with $5,000, you do the math. There was some netting out of my $5,000 when I sent it in for my data and stuff like that. They netted it out of the 5,000. So I mean, I really am over 3,400. But anyways, that's semantics. It really doesn't matter. So what I want to do is I just want to show a couple setups today that I saw. You know, again, these are after the fact, but I mean, just things to look at, things to recognize. So let's talk about one that happened in oil, which I thought was really kind of cool. Anyways, you got to remember oil opens at 9 o'clock. Okay, so if it opens at 9, that is right here. All right, so like all this stuff going on before it, I'm not really paying attention to. But it is kind of nice to watch because here, let's talk about it, for example. So here's where oil opened. Okay, there's the overnight open. Remember, all the settings for what's on this chart are down below. Okay, so here's your overnight open. I call that your line in the sand. That is the place you pray that price comes from here to here because it's going to reject it to there. So that's what you pray for. You pray for this to come in play when price moves away. So anyways, but let's just, before we ever got to, when the market opens, let's just kind of look. Here's price creating a new daily high, back to your 5-minute red line, zoom back up to the daily high. Nobody should be surprised by that. Nobody should be surprised by that. Then it kind of meandered over here and they slingshot it off. Now, I'm not a big fan of this. I've talked about that. If it's consolidating its way over, I'm not a fan. If it moves back to the 5-minute red line, I'm much more of a fan. But it slingshotted up here. Jesus, look at that. And then it created a new daily, all this movement up here is a daily high, daily high, daily high. Pull back, and again, we're still sitting. This is 4 o'clock in the morning. All right. So then we had price come, create a daily high, come down, kind of meander again, kind of the same meandering we had right here. All right. And then it rolled over, blew right through the 5-minute red line, then back up, sat on top of it, just kind of sitting there. Really nothing going on. Okay. But what I am looking at is, yes, it respected it here. Yes, it respected it there. It's respecting the red line a little bit, and then bam, it broke down through, came up, bam, straight down. So it's respecting that red line. That's what I want to see. I want to see is price action respecting the red line. If it blows right through it, I'm not concerned about that because I'm not going to get sucked into a trade long here because it never set and then slung. So I never had an entry. It's when it creates, comes down, comes up, and then sits there and it breaks this candle here. Is there a reaction? Yes. Okay. Then that's what I want to see. I want to see that there's reactions at that line. So here we are again. Is there a reaction at this line? I don't remember, to be honest with you. Well, there was a reaction to the opposite side. All right. And then we sat on top of it again at 6:30. And then up it went, probably back to the high. I don't know. Let's see here. Did it go to the high? 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 I don't know. I don't know. Yep, it did. Okay. So see, it crossed over, sat on it. Now, here's the key. Here's the thing that I'm looking for. Let's just assume this was during regular trading hours. What you're looking for is we're way above the overnight open. So the market tendency is long. So when you're way above that, which is where we're way above it here, I'm looking for that crossover, reset, long, back to minimum here, minimum the pivot that it came from, and more likely, the high of the day if we're anywhere near it. And that's it meandered its way. Mind you, this is 7 o'clock in the morning, but it did do it. It literally did it. So anyways, let's just keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's get to where the market opens. All right. So now we're getting close to the market open, and there's news in the morning too. I don't quite remember all this, but we had a really violent rundown here. So there should be a reaction here. And there is. I don't know how big it's going to be. Oh, there's a nice, oh boy. Okay. Well, hell, it's not bad. That's not, oh, bad. That's not bad. See, we had a daily high and we had that is a violent move back to the red line. And now you're seeing the reaction. And then now we're here again. Does that hold? Probably not. Oh, it did hold. No, it didn't. Okay. No, now we're at the open. Okay, now we're at the open. So let's get to what I would be looking at. We had news at 10 o'clock. We had news at I can't remember, but we had news at 10. So let's just kind of meander this past 10. Let's see if we can get past 10 here. Let's get past 10. Where's 9? There's 9:30. And there's 10. Okay, there's 10. All right, so now we're at 10. So this is when I'd be turning on my brain to do my 1 hour focus. Okay, so what do I have? I have to look at this chart and go, well, we're on the long side right here because we're way above the overnight open. So I'm going to be looking for some kind of crossover reset on top of this red line. If at all, that's what I'm looking for in oil. Okay? Or I'm looking for this thing to hammer its way down here and touch this line and then reject it. One or the other. It's pretty easy when I'm only looking for two setups in general. Okay? It's kind of pretty easy. I know I'm looking for longs because I'm long the market. I'm after the news. So I'm looking for this price to come down and hit one of those longer term moving averages down here that I don't see, that's not on my chart, to kick it and pass it on top of this red line and then gone. That's what I'm looking for. Or I'm looking for, once we are there, that rotation up, create a new Donchian high, back to that red line, boom, long. Okay? So I'm looking for long off the red or long off the overnight open. That's what I'm looking for. It's pretty simple. All right? One or the other. Now, what do we got here? We got this thing meandering up. Let's see the difference between the way this patterned down and the way this is pattern. See the pattern, Jesus. See the pattern difference between that and this? Okay? So we got an ugly pattern here. Now, are we going to get a push down from the red line? There's a likelihood we will. But remember, I'm not looking for a push down. I'm looking for an opportunity to go long, because I recognize that we're north of the market, and this pullback right here was anything but violent. As a matter of fact, it created two top shelves, and we broke it to get to the red line. That's not a good pattern. This is a much better pattern right here, where we came down, created a new Donchian low, and went up and sat on the bottom of that red line. That's a much better pattern. Again, keep in mind, when you take this trade, you are counter trend trading. That's the problem, because you're way north of here. So you're counter trend trading, which is not a wise thing to do in the morning. It is in the afternoon when the market's then settling, but it's not a wise thing to do in the morning. Okay? So here we go. We're coming back up. Let's see what happens here. Ooh, okay, so now we have a candle that goes completely up and over this red line. All right, hold on here. Oh boy. Okay, we have a pullback. Now, I'm sitting here. If I'm sitting here looking at this, what I'm hoping is we get a little settle into this gold line and then long. That's what I'm hoping. But I don't know if we did or not. I don't know. Oh, God dang, we did. I swear to God, I don't remember this. Okay, so we came and we touched this gold line. Not that this really matters, because we're playing off this line, but this is support. All right, so we went up, we sat on top of this red line. Okay, we're sitting on top of it. We are looking for longs because of this. And we're looking for this price to settle on top of this 5-minute red line And I would be looking for the long at 69.12 right there. Right back to the daily high. Boom. There you go. You're done. You're done. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's literally it. That's literally it. And I just walked you through in a minute what I look for when I'm looking at these markets. And that's why I have 4 charts up, because they aren't all going to cooperate every day. So I'm only looking for the one that cooperates. I'm looking for the one that that shows the consistent level of what I'm looking for. I'm either looking for, and this all could have happened after 10 o'clock. So, we got past 10 o'clock. We could have been in that situation. We were more like this. If this was 10 o'clock, after 10 o'clock, and we went from here to here, I would be taking this trade right here. Okay? Because it can happen from the top side. It doesn't have to come across from the bottom side if you're looking for longs. So the pattern can be from here, or the pattern can be from here. But in either case, you're looking for it to go back up to here. And that's it. You only have to hit, in the NQ, you only have to hit one of those a week. That exact pattern right there, you only have to hit one of those a week. Let me grab another instrument here in just a second. Hold on. Okay, so here we have the RTY. Now, this one's a little more tricky because here we are at 9:30 right here. Okay, and remember, this opens at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. All my charts are Eastern Standard Time. Let me clarify that. So when this opens, we're sitting here. Look at this. Here's the low and here's the high. Okay, there's really not much to be looking for here. There's really not much to be looking for here because there's not much of a gap between the high and the low. Let me see if I can figure that out real quickly here. We are at 38 basically and 54. So what's that? 16 points. That's it for, a whole overnight from 6 p.m. the night before. So anyways, so this thing's got to start, moving for us to be looking for anything. But what happened? It blew right through our overnight open, down, 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 came back up, and I'm telling you right here, oh man, it just pulled too far and created this rotation right here and then down, which was too far. That's just too far, because when this candle right here, this big one right here, when it opened and closed north of this 9, there's no 1 minute gold line trade anymore. But it did have a smooth pullback. This low right here was higher than this low. This low was higher than this low. This low was higher than this low. And this low was higher than this low. The problem was this low was also opened and closed north of that 1 minute gold line. So, okay, no big deal. Now remember, we had news at 10 o'clock anyways. So am I looking at this chart right now? No, I'm waiting until the news is over. Okay, remember that. I'm looking when the news is over. Okay, so roll down, news happens here, market gets squirrely, does stupid stuff, a lot of candles overlapping each other, bam, 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 create a new daily low right here at 10:03, making everybody think we're going down. We're going down, we're going down, we're going down. Oh, no, we're not. Okay, so what do we have here? Well, we have a potential, because look at this, from here to here. We have a pretty violent pullback, okay? So we need to see what happens from this candle forward to here, okay? We want to see how this red line sets up, because we're looking potentially a 5-minute red line. We are south of the overnight open, so I'm biased to the short side because it is the morning, it's not the afternoon. I'll talk about afternoon trades later. I haven't been focusing on them because I haven't even been looking at charts for them. But anyways, so let's talk So let's just see what happens here. Still, we have not pierced that red line. Ah, man, what's going on here? Still have not pierced it. Now it's getting a little squirrely. And we blew right through it. Okay. So we have yet to have an entry. Okay? Because we have not had it. This is the first candle to touch that red line. And it's closed. I mean, an entry would be way down here. I would not be taking it at this point. We created this shelf. We blew through. I'm not very confident in it. If this had been down a little further and we would have been a little more, this red line been in here and we'd hit it right in one of these candles, then maybe that's totally different, but not the way this just happened. So let's just see what happens. Oh, shit. Okay. Hold on. Katie bar the door. What have I always told you guys? What have I always told you? If the market blows through an area of resistance, this is the area of resistance. This is your overnight open. It has a tendency to go back and retest it. And here's our test right here. Look at that. We're literally through it by a tick or two. Let me blow this up some more. We're literally through it by a tick or two. We had 1, 2, 3 green candles. I like my optimum when we reach. Remember, the overnight open is reach. My optimum is 4 candles. I like 4 candles or more. I like to see 4 consistent candles. Let's see what happens. Oh boy, we stayed right there. Remember, this candle's low. The color of the candle's not relevant. This candle's low was higher than this candle's low. So we had it 1, 2, 3, 4. Watch this. And here's more important to me. Okay. I'm going to tell you a little thing here. One of the things I really like about this is this candle is inside this candle. This candle is inside. What do I mean by inside? The top is at or below the top of this one. It happens to be below, by the way, by a tick, but equal to or below, and the bottom is equal to or above. So it's inside the range of the candle to the left. Inside. You get a lot more reaction when the candles have a tendency to be inside each other. So let's go to the next one. Oh boy, this one's inside this one, which is inside this one. And of course, everybody knows what happens next, right? Bam. There's your money. Just like that. I mean, and it's all these all happen today. NQ has 1 or 2 of these also. NQ had a 5-minute red line. Beautiful setup to the long side where the market was long, late in the day, from the daily high, boom, boom, gone. At like 3:50 this afternoon or 3:45. Count your money. Count your money. Count your money. Keep counting your money. So, point of reference, okay? We talked about this. I'm going to reinforce it. This line is supposed to be in the way this trading philosophy works. This line right here is supposed to be more powerful than this line. Is it going to get hung up there? A lot of times it does. Okay, when it gets hung up there, you gotta have faith that this is going to push it through, and that's exactly what it did. Okay, it's the same thing with the red line. This red line is more powerful than this line. So if the trade had come in here and pushed it down, like hold on here, let me pull it up. Hold on here. No, not that one. Let me pull this up. Just like, let me get this on. Let me show this, and then I'm going to call this video over. Hold on here. See, I get excited about this stuff. Hold on here. Right here. Just like this. Here's your 5-minute red line. Here's your daily high, your rotation back. Here's your red line. Boom, here's your long. you're anticipating it to get hung up on top of this 1 minute gold line, which it did. Then it forced its way through, and then it sit on top of it, and bam, there's you gone back to your daily high. This little setup from here to here. That's $500. That's $500. And all you had to do was pay attention to the fact that the market's long, it's rotating off a daily high, back to the overnight open. And this part right here, this is the best part. They cleaned out all those stops down below this red line and then rejected it right back to the daily high. Anyways, that's my video for the day. I plan on doing some more videos now that I'm not sick anymore and Thanksgiving is over. And yes, you can congratulate me down below for making my $3,400 on my live account, which means that's my money. My money, my money. It's not money I made in a prop firm that was fake that I have to go through 10 more tests to get to pass. But anyways, everybody have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.